Global warming is not man-made, and there's barely any global warming at all.
A handful of Republican dumbasses from the good old US of A are blaming Canada for wildfire smoke entering their country. So in this video, I'm going to get to their insane letter, what it clearly and obviously does not mention, and what they are blaming this on. So let me first start with what Canada did for the US during their recent fire season, and that is, of course, actually helped them. So how Canadian helicopters and water bombers are helping tame LA fires. So all those water bombers and helicopters dropping water on those forest fires in LA, that's what Canada did for you. In return, we get these morons. Wisconsin and Minnesota Republicans calling Canada to curb wildfire smoke. 6 Republican lawmakers have sent a letter, which I'll get to shortly, to Canada's ambassador calling for action on wildfires they say have sent smoke billowing across the international border into their states. So, as the obvious problem here, before we get any further, is climate change. Ottawa has warned that Canada's climate continues to warm faster than the global average, and extreme weather conditions will become more frequent and severe, contributing to more widespread drought and wildfires. Now, not seriously dealing with climate change is not just an American issue. It's also a Canadian issue. It's a global issue. But this is the issue. Yet, here is how it is framed by one of the signees of this letter, dipshit Tom Tiffany, writing, the upper Midwest has suffered from repeated waves of smoke due to Canadian wildfires. Today, I join my colleagues from Wisconsin and Minnesota to demand better forest management. Our communities shouldn't suffer because of poor decisions made across the border. Ah, yes, Canada's poor decisions. Good God. All right, it's worth reading this just to note how stupid this whole thing is. We write you today on behalf of our constituents who have had to deal with suffocating Canadian wildfire smoke filling the air to begin the summer. As we are entering the height of the fire season, we would like to know how your government plans to mitigate wildfire and the smoke that makes its way south. As I'm sure you know, this is not the first year Canadian wildfire smoke has been an issue. In 2023, Canada had its worst year for wildfires on record. Last year's fire season was considered one of the worst, and this year seems to be a continuation of these previous years. I wonder what's been going on. Why do things keep getting worse? Well, maybe he has some good reasoning here. While we know a key driver of this issue, yes, has been a lack of active forest management, we've also seen things like arson as another way multiple large wildfires have ignited in Canada. Ah, yes, because we all know fires spread for thousands of acres simply because of arson, not because of the conditions on the ground that may have led to incredibly dry brush that have led to fires. No. Simply, these individuals must be persecuted and the forests must be maintained. Morons, with all the technology we have at our disposal, both in preventing and fighting wildfires. This worrisome trend, again, he keeps intimating here, yes, there's a trend, things are getting worse, it's getting warmer. I wonder what the problem is, can be reversed if proper action is taken. Yes, I agree. But what proper action? Our constituents have been limited in their ability to go outside and safely breathe due to the dangerous air quality the wildfire smoke has created. Like, what's amazing about all this? It's as if Canadians enjoy the smoke. It's like, these fires are happening. We don't care at all. No, in fact, we enjoy breathing in the smoke. But it's really impacting Americans, and we should really take issue with this because it's really bothering them, even though we love it. In our neck of the woods, summer months are the best time of the year to spend time outdoors. In your neck of the woods, as opposed to what? Canadians don't like to go outside in the summer? Like, you think we all just live in igloos? Moron. Enjoying time with family and creating new memories, but this wildfire smoke makes it difficult to do all those things. Canada has been a friendly neighbor of the U.S. and the states we represent. So given the significance of this issue, we urge you to relay this message to your government, in particular Natural Resources Canada and the Canadian Forest Service. Again, as if we don't know that wildfires are a problem. The issue is what you think the source of it, what the source of that problem is. So he could have, He's a Republican, so of course they're not going to reference the reality of the situation of rising global temperatures. But no, we need more active, better active forest management of the 1.3 billion acres of forest in Canada. Ah, yes, that's all we need is to better clean the forests up. Clown. This idiot has a 0% environmental score. So this is the League of Conservation Voters. These are all his climate-related votes. A 0% score in the last year. A lifetime score of 1%. Wow. Pushing boundaries there. Here is this moron. This is 3 years ago. Talking to a scientist, or attempting to, about climate change.
I have an article from April 28th, 1975, Peter Gwynn in Newsweek, The Cooling World, where it says there will be a global disaster, food shortages, unpredictable and crazy weather events, and of course, politicians refusing to act in the face of these undeniable realities. Isn't this just a political effort to control people's lives? This doomsdaying, skies falling rhetoric that we hear?
Thank you for the question. Absolutely not. This is not political rhetoric. This is science. And back in the 70s, there was a brief moment when there was worry about global cooling. Since then, it's become abundantly clear through thousands upon thousands of scientific studies that we are warming our planet and that the results of that warming could become irreversible and devastating for people around the world.
So that was dipshit Representative Tom Tiffany getting kindly trounced by a scientist there on the reality around climate change. But let's not forget the other idiots at the center of this letter. So there's also Brad Finstad, Tom Emmer, Michelle Fischbach, Glenn Grotham, and Pete Stauber. Let's look at their votes on the environment. 0%, 0%, 0%, 4%. 3%, 3%. Oh, we're doing a little better. 3%, 3%. Here's a clip I have from Glenn Grothman. And by the way, you could search any of these morons' names and global warming or climate change, and you'll get, a litany of posts about how they can't possibly vote for this bill that's going to address this issue. But here is Glenn Grothman. This is a few years back discussing climate change.
What about this war in coal that we're seeing come forth from the president and its impact upon the six?
This is this environmental stuff. This is the idea that's kind of driven by this global warming thing. I mean, global warming is not man-made, and there's barely any global warming at all. There's been no global warming for the last 12 or 13 years. I see a shortage of Republicans stepping up to the plate and saying, look, this global warming stuff is not going on. It's ridiculous for the United States, of all the countries in the world, to put extra regulations on our business, while the Chinese, the Indians, whatever, are building new factories all the time, and our factories are stuck saying, you can't do this because you've got to rein in this global warming, which doesn't exist anyway.
These absolute dumbasses denying the reality of climate change for years, while now turning around and trying to blame Canada for wildfire smoke. Couple last things here worth mentioning. The other guy on that list, Pete Stauber, 3% score, but a lifetime score of 9%, almost hitting 10% in the pro-environment direction. He may be kicked out of the party at this point. That's a little too much support for the environment there, Pete. Last thing here, reaction from a severe climate journalist, severe weather journalist, Kyle Britton, replying to the first dumbass, Tom Tiffany, saying, oh, so wildfire smoke is a political issue now. We'll keep that in mind in Canada when seasonal smoke from the western U.S. fills our skies later this summer. Have you seen our politicians blame the U.S.? I think we should be, actually, when it comes to the inability to address the climate crisis. But it is just remarkable to hear Republican politicians try and discuss an issue that is centered around climate change without actually mentioning climate change.